Hello and welcome to the Practice Marketing Podcast, highlighting successful strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics and experts so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. Hi, I'm your host, Neil Trickett, CEO of Practice Promotions, and today we're going to talk about how to build a physician liaison team that works and crushes it. So we're with Ryan Miller, who's the Business Development Director, and Kalina Robles, who's the Marketing Manager for Movement for Life. They are a 27-location physical therapy clinic across Arizona, California, North Carolina, and Virginia. And today they're going to share about physician marketing as well as other marketing actions that they've used to be successful and grow the clinic's to 27 locations. So Ryan and Kalina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Neil.
Great. So let's talk about this. So you guys have built out quite a large physician liaison team at Movement for Life. And I understand you started out with not that many, maybe one, and have grown it from there. And not every PT clinic has this particular role. So I'm curious for our listeners, what did you do to develop this and build those physician relationships for Movement for Life?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I'm happy to take that one down. Let's see. Movement for Life has traditionally operated with business development directors in each region that we've had local physical therapy clinics. We try to open, between 2 to 5 locations in any given market. And we have our, metrics on where are good markets, where are markets we should stay away from. Over time, we just started understanding that a lot of our new patients were coming from the medical community. And we wanted to make sure that we spent some extra time cultivating relationships, building rapport, understanding the whys behind, hey, what goes on in that world and how can we become a part of it? But then how can we build upon that? And if you take your pie of where you think patients are going to come from for physical therapy and you start to divvy that up, we kind of just decided based on all of our analytics that, hey, are the physicians and the care extenders, the medical community is our number one source for new patients. And so let's figure out a way we can spend some more time there. And then I'd be remiss to say we had the help of Emily Bagby at Mill Creek Consulting to help us wrap our heads around that problem of, hey, how do we spend more time there? What does it look like? What does this position do? What are some KPIs? Which I'm sure Kalina can get into as she was one of the first physician liaisons when we made the switch. I was operating as a business development director for our local clinics. I think we had about 8 at the time. But there was no real why behind what we were doing. It was just kind of hire good people. Hey, we need the phone to ring. And we don't really understand anything beyond that. So more of it was standard marketing and based on what's less intelligent in between my ears and kind of how can we build upon these things? So we kind of just started there and started tying some KPIs to this role.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So you saw the need there. You saw where most of your patients were coming in from the healthcare community, from physician referrals, and he's like, hey, how can we develop this further? Right? You saw that need there. And so, Kalina, I'm curious on your side as the founder of the Physician Liaison program here, how was your approach to that? What did you find to be successful in this particular role?
Yeah, definitely in this particular role, you have to understand when you're going to the medical community, there's so many people that are asking for business. And I think PT is in a trickier spot to ask for business because we can't guarantee referrals being sent back, right? It's not as transactional as maybe some other practices being able to go out there. So you have to really get in the habit of asking people for what you want. But how do you do that without off-putting them and making them feel like they're just there for the referral? So really what it is just genuine relationship building, going in, getting to understand and know how each office works because there's so many intricacies that work. Everyone's referral process is different. The front office, you want to get to know all of them. You want to get to know the doctors. You want to get to know all the MAs. Each visit, it was there was an intention and a purpose behind each visit rather than, okay, well, they're on my route, so I'm going to stop in and just say hi. So there was very targeted and curated relationship building going on. And I think that was the most valuable thing that we were able to see kind of referrals grow in my region, at least with that type of relationship nurturing. And I think Ryan had trained me once and alluded it to dating, a first date, a second date, and a third date. That is kind of how you're working with these offices. And I think that made it so much more human. So yeah, that's kind of what I've learned just doing it. The overall gist is just, I guess, just wanting to really get to know these people.
Yeah, so don't go in and ask for marriage on the first date, right?
No, probably not. Don't, you can maybe do like 3 of them and then you can be like, okay, where's this going? Because there's times when like you're going in multiple times to doctors' offices and you're consistently like asking for business, asking how they do things, what diagnoses do they send over, and kind of also too, just for us as a practice, gauging that fit for that referral source. But for us, yeah, no, it's also after that, X amount of visits, it can be defined differently by, I think, each clinic being like, okay, I've not gotten one referral. What is it? Is it me? Is it them? Is it what's going on? And so sometimes you have to have that honest conversation. But yes, it's definitely, again, not asking for marriage on the first date.
And it's finding that the right person, right? Like who really is in charge of the referrals. And so a lot of times the doctor will say, yeah, go to PT, right? But then it's a referral coordinator in the clinic, or maybe the medical assistant, or maybe the nurse. Just depends on like who is in the office. That's the one saying, oh yeah, I want you to go to this place. Or here's a list. And that's probably more common today, is like, here's a list of places to choose from. You go on Google and figure it out. Is that something that you see too?
Yeah, I'll let Ryan go.
We're actively, yes, Neil, that gives us a good gusto there to like, hey, let's get involved in this system. Let's learn, I'd give a shout out to our physician liaison team. They do a great job. Like you were saying it's about the person first. Everybody has their own ways of getting that type of intelligence gathered. Now we use a CRM, obviously, like Salesforce, to track some of these behaviors. And that's just data in to be like, hey, what's going on in this specific ecosystem? Are there similarities, differences across the board? But really what you start learning is like the preferences of each practice. And so some doctors, maybe what I would like to, or step back is, you can learn a lot about a medical practice without ever walking into their ecosystem, opening that office door. Oh man, I know everyone's heart rate gets up once you're like, why am I going in there? I'm not a patient. Well, you're going in there because hopefully you have a reason, right? Let's find a reason, whether that's working with your physical therapist because they're partnering in patient care with that patient, to be like, hey, what does this patient know about this doctor? What do you know about this doctor? What is Movement for Life as we've been around 26 years now. Do we have a relationship with this office, with this doctor, with this person? And you kind of start there and you back into those things. So, hey, if it's, I don't know who's sitting at the front desk, well, let's go find out, because they're important in this ecosystem. We can never overlook anyone. I preach a lot to our teams, like we're on team healthcare here, and healthcare looks many different ways right now, especially with consolidation or more private practices growing. But like, what are we trying to do? What's our call goal for this office? Like, why am I here today? And trying to put that into our liaisons' heads to really question, like, hey, why am I going to go to these 10 or so offices today? I'm not going to say the same thing at every office. How could I become impactful? I'm asking for people's time. That's a non-renewable resource. Like, how could I become effective so that they come to me for whatever it is, knowledge, for physical therapy insight, for referral generation, for pathway deliverance, whatever it is. But how do you become that trusted partner so that then they're like, hey, you're important in this. How do I get, this is the entrance to patient care for our Movement for Life practice? Fantastic. Let me talk to you. What can I do? A, B, or C? And then they can start learning about us and how we can work together.
Very cool. And so do you use like a custom approach where you're trying to relay sometimes the information that's happening with a particular patient in the clinic and use that to develop the relationship with doctors? Is that something that you do?
Yeah, definitely. You can use that on like diagnoses specific. Like, hey, doc, I noticed you sent a patient with a concussion over. We have specialists, and then you can go into your talk track on how you would approach that rehab, recovery, performance, whatever it is. But yeah, so you can use. We like to talk a lot, Kalina and I, about like what our roles can help and how the clinical role helps, and then how you piece it all together in these hallway conversations with doctors, or maybe you schedule a lunch, because we're partnering on a lot of different patient cases, that it becomes more relevant to both parties to sit down to ultimately make that experience for the end user better, the patient, at the end of the day. And I think as long as, that's what Kalina and I have been learning. It's been 3 years and some change now of this PL specific program, is like, what do we have? How can we all work together to improve that patient experience, so that they know what they're talking about? We know what we're supposed to be providing. Is it getting cell phone numbers? Is it going to that, marriage concept of, hey, we're married now because we share all of this? Or is it still just like a, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Ryan. but here's what I can do, but you're not listening. So it's really trying to figure out, there's a lot of psychology and philosophy behind interrupting people in their day to day, unannounced, maybe it is announced. But a lot of it comes to like what work you're going to do before you ever walk into that office or that door.
Yeah, totally. And then, uh, do you set up like lunch and learns? Like, what typically happens as you start to get a little deeper into that relationship?
Yeah, I think the showing up, there's no discrediting showing up in offices. The human to human interaction, given physical therapy as a field, I mean, you gotta be there. You can get some things done on the phone or email, but if you want to remove all of that, potentially speed up your process of when you're going to get this scheduled or when you're going to get eyeball time with this referral source. This could be community as well, not just referral community or medical community. But like eyeball time is highly valuable. How do we get there? How can I get on your books? Because I would love to bring some smart physical therapists with me that are interested in sharing patients with you, and you guys can talk together about how to accomplish that. And both parties usually win-win there.
Hmm.
So we really do like stressing the importance of lunch and learns, educational sessions, journal clubs. I mean, you name it, Neil, Kalina, and I and our team will figure out how to make that happen and meet people where they are, just to get people together.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, I did this for years when I had my practice. So definitely pounding on hundreds of doctor doors. But I remember one thing that worked really well for me was doing the lunch and learn, right? And I would usually say, hey, I wouldn't say, hey, can I train the doctor? No, you want to do that. Like, hey, can I work? Would it work for you, like for your medical assistants or your nurses I could do a quick presentation on how to differentiate between, rotator cuff and an impingement in the shoulder. Sure, yeah, that's great. So quick 5 minute like slide deck presentation. And usually the doctor would come in anyway, like, and it blew my mind how many times I would deliver that, and the doctor's like, "Oh, what's this motion over here?" I'm trying to remember that. Oh, abduction. Like it was hilarious, right? Because they just don't deal with, unless they're an orthopedic doctor, but they don't deal with that much on a daily basis of the things that we could actually see. Or they don't realize, right? So then what I found was very helpful with that was that it kind of took us from being that pharmaceutical rep equivalent to more of a medical professional equivalent. And that really built the relationship a lot doing that type of lunch and learn. I thought that was very, very helpful.
Yeah, there's a special type of person that likes to get in that uncomfortable scenario there of kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Like, I'm not, you walk into that office, this is like the layers of an onion. You got the front desk, you got the referral coordinator sitting behind them, you got the doctor all in the halls with their patients, and you're asking for some time here or some intelligence, and you're like, where do I start? And everyone's, blood pressure starts rising. But you got to just keep on your cadence of, okay, well, what am I here for? What's this piece of information I'm trying to glean from this interaction? How did it go? And a lot of to try to get away from that idea of the rep, like we try to just reframe a lot of these things. Like, we're not a rep, we're not representing much. We are partnering in your patient's journey back to health, back to carrying their grandkids, whatever it is. Try to become that specific, then you're less of a threat, I guess, and you're more of a partner or a teammate in that
Mm-hmm.
idea. And that starts to break barriers down where people will start to teach you things about their system. Hey, I like it when it's done like this. And you're like, fantastic. Let me just make sure that I can create that efficiency on my end, that our procedures match, and then that your patient experiences that joy of a seamless system.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And Kalina, I'm curious from your end, since you were in this role, I don't know if you were using Salesforce at the time, but I'm curious as far as like KPIs and metrics that you would track, and like how did you measure progress in that particular role?
Yeah, definitely. So each of our clinics all have their clinic plan. So they've got numbers that they go by. We get a weekly statistics report. Shout out to our statistics team with our like weekly or like monthly and weekly referrals evaluations. Gives us like a whole picture of the pie as like where our referral sources are coming from. And then also a list of like any new referring providers. So that's something that we could base it off of. So it was pretty interesting to see, like, I would compare my Salesforce notes, be like, I went to these offices, and then you kind of see it translate on your new referral report where you see all these MDs and you're like, okay, great. Like, finally, after 3 months of me visiting this doctor regularly, I finally have a onesies and twosies of them like sending a few patients over. So that was the main way I think our we were able to kind of track that. But that is really dependent on good information in with our clinical teams. So really asking that question at the front desk of like, how did you find us? Is it really just a referring MD? Were you direct access? Was it the website? That's the part where it's like that good information in is really helpful and helps the entire team and the entire ecosystem of how this whole thing works. But yes, it was just the KPIs were our Salesforce notes that we had. Again, it was custom built to mirror the physician liaison experience. And then we go off of our evals and referral reports. And Ryan is always really helpful at helping us break down and analyze like what they could mean, like what patterns look like. So that was always really appreciated.
Excellent. Yeah, and it's really funny because Blake, one of our marketing consultants on our team, that was his job. He was a physician liaison for a group of PTs in Northern Virginia, and would go around and use Salesforce. So I was interested when I heard him say Salesforce. I'm like, okay, so they're using a lot of Salesforce when they're doing physician relationship building there. So that's really neat too. And now that you're on the marketing side, I'm curious, does marketing support the physician liaisons, like kind of handouts, tools? I'm just kind of curious from that standpoint.
Yes, absolutely. Marketing. I think I'm able to identify like so the really interesting thing is before I joined Movement for Life as a physician liaison, I had a background in digital marketing working at a marketing agency. So it was kind of shifting worlds where both are technically marketing, but one you're like purely online. And then, you're hearing SEO a million times a day. And then you're switching over to, in-person relationship building. And so what's cool with this marketing role is I'm able to kind of go in there, realize what our physician liaisons need as like the boots on the ground. Like they're the people representing our clinics in the communities. Like what was I wanting? So we do a lot of handouts. We'll do a lot of our best pieces of collateral have come from our PLs going to an office and identifying a need. Mm-hmm. Like saying like, look, they need these referral sources. They need like a reference sheet based on like insurances, what insurances we take, like what services do we provide, like obviously referral pads, but we've got a lot of stuff like that. But then we get a lot of one-off ones where we'll make like co-branded exercise handouts if like certain providers have a protocol for, a certain injury or what have you. So we've done a lot of that and worked with the referral sources directly, which has been really nice because they also see us as a resource to help them out with that. But yeah, we've done a lots of QR codes, lots of handouts, lots of figuring out what people take, what they don't take. It's fun. It's great to be able to support our team.
Yeah, I think that's key. Like if you do have a physician liaison or someone who's going out to develop referrals from doctors, you got to have a reason to be in there, right? And you got to like have a leave behind. And so marketing plays a big role in that. You need the assets to leave behind. And like you said, the more custom you can make it to that clinic, the better they're going to use that tool to give out. And I mean, sometimes when you go in these doctors' offices, they have a complete brochure holders of all the drugs and everything that they're recommending, right? But there's nothing usually there for a PT clinic, right? Or exercise tips or whatever it may be. So yeah, having those assets is really key to being successful for the physician liaisons, I'm sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sorry, Kalina, go ahead.
Oh no, definitely. I was just saying like, it's just a lot of the patient facing material that we have too. Again, there's stuff that we make for referral, like just for referral coordinators for the doctors, like we've got those, but then also patient facing material. I know Ryan and I talk about this a lot, is just pulling ourselves out and not marketing to ourselves because we are in PT, like we are heavy in it. That is our world. So it's trying to pull it out in a way that's understandable and accessible for people to make it, we're trying to lower these barriers of entry. We've had a lot of conversation about like, where are these barriers to entry and like, how do we lower them for these patients? And so I think that's where collateral can be a really powerful tool.
The top 10% of PT owners aren't just surviving, they're thriving. But what's their secret? Well, Neil Trickett's new Market to Grow book reveals how the top 10% of PT practices leverage marketing systems to simultaneously grow their new patients, attract top talent, and boost profit in their practice. You can learn from their secrets. Visit practicepromotions.net/book to claim your free copy of Market to Grow. Yes, you heard that right. We are shipping a free copy of Market to Grow to all podcast listeners who want it. Just visit practicepromotions.net/book to claim your free book. And now back to the show.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you walk me in that office, Neil, that has the flyer shrine headed up there, I'm going to figure out what size that is. And next time I show up, I'm going to have a nice fat stack of whatever my biggest marketing, blanketed marketing could be for that. And I'm going to pick right at eye level, and I'm going to replace that, whoever's is there, with mine. Or and see how maybe it lasts till the end of the day. Maybe someone sees me do that and I leave the office and they change it. But hey, you got to keep trying, I think. Yeah, so that would be fun. You started talking about like KPIs. That is really hard to like give you a straight answer on, just for like some of the listeners. I would usually say that getting past the gatekeeper about 60% of the time, like,
Okay.
and not low. I mean, just really trying to get past the front line of defense, say, in an office. I know that's not the right way to say it, but like getting past that so that you can get this information, glean that insight. Asking elevated questions helps do that, where you're like, oh, well, this person at the front might not know this answer, so they might call for someone in the back. That
Hmm.
would, in a liaison's mind, would be, oh, that was a good question. Maybe I'm going to go bounce that one off, 100 other offices in the next month or so, which is fun for Kalina and I to work with our team. Every Monday morning, we do a meeting. We talk about some things that are working, what's not working, what they're hearing or seeing, in an attempt to like take why reinvent the wheel. Let's just see if we can take something that's working here, whether it's a talk track, a collateral piece, a lunch and learn idea, and see if we can expand on that in our other markets. Because it is really human dependent, and I mean, obviously, whatever physical therapy clinic specialties you guys are going into,
Hmm.
that's very dependent on the way your liaison's going to point their ship there and work on that. So I usually go with like 80% in the field and about 20% is like virtual digital follow up,
Okay.
because the more the liaison gets out and starts uncovering these needs, the workflows just go from there. And you want to make sure you can get yourself really busy going down rabbit holes trying to seek out specific populations, or you could go for biggest bang for your buck ideas. I mean, I try to leave that up to our liaison team. They're all very well and astute at this position, experts at it. And they'll ask me for help usually if they need it. Right now, like I said, great team. They're all out there having their various conversations and their methods. But the main thing, they're working with their clinicians and the clinic directors to really be like, trust but verify. Hey, I heard this out there. I wanted to just run this by you. Oh, that's interesting. We heard this from one of their patients. Let's put those two things together and see if we could make a decision based on that information.
Hmm. And as far as then like the actual KPIs that you like for them to track, is it number of visits in a week? Is it number, like you said, getting past the front desk? Like is that counted as a specific stat? Just kind of curious what you like to measure.
Yeah, good call. There's definitely some subjective measures and then some objective measures. If we walk all the way back when we started this program, we kind of put, hey, where do most patients come from for a physical therapy practice? And we were like, well, the community, okay, medical community, but like time wise, how far is someone willing to drive to your location, say, for your service? Is it highly sought after and there's no one else in the state or the world that's doing it? Is it something like a Starbucks coffee you can find on every street corner? How do you differentiate yourself in those things? We basically just took like a 10-mile radius around each of our locations, drew that out, logged every doctor's office that is a doctor's office into a routing sheet. So we just have a Google spreadsheet that we all share. It's got the account name, which is like the house, so the doctor's office name, and then we loaded all the contacts underneath there. So we try to get between 40 and 60 doctor's offices a week visited, and obviously that changes when your market's a different size, or you can't go to the same office every day and expect something different, right? So there's a cadence at which we try to follow a frequency because the consistency is important. But I'd say 2 to 4 times per quarter visiting an office as you start to build that rapport and it turns into a relationship. And then kind of seeing from there, you started to say it to us like, it's not telling them what we can do. It's asking, would it be helpful if would it be helpful if I had to come back every week because my boss keeps making me because I'm going to be here anyways? Or would it be helpful if I brought all plan of cares by to hand sign? Like, hopefully no one wants that done, but we can go back and steal things from history and then reinstitute them. So
Excellent. Cool. Kind of curious, you'd mentioned before that obviously you put a lot of work into this. You built out the team. You've been doing a lot of this over the last 3 years, I think you said. So curious in terms of percentages now, in terms of like the new patients that are coming into the clinic, just kind of curious, like how many come from physician referrals, how many come from direct marketing, patient referrals, things like patient reactivations. Kind of curious what you see on your side.
Yeah, I would say generally about 2/3 of our referral pie is from providers. So we're still pretty heavy. We're starting to notice the direct access and online stuff start to grow as like our efforts have been poured into it. But as of right now, it's still that 2/3, like majority of them. And then I would definitely say like our second biggest is probably like returning patients or word of mouth from them. That's also a significant one. So there's like, again, that third person credibility of like someone that's been to us who has experienced us and like they tell their best friend, they tell their neighbor. Next door is pretty popular for us, which is very funny too, where people are like, hey, like, have you heard of Movement for Life? They were awesome. And so people love that type of community building. And so I think that's a testament to our physician liaison team going out there, building that community, getting people in. They get to experience us and our culture, going back out and kind of like becoming ambassadors for our practice. So that's always a bonus, and we're always really appreciative for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it is important, right? Like we sometimes we dismiss the physician relationships, or we end up getting comfortable with maybe a few doctors that were key doctors for referring or key groups. And then things happen, right? I mean, they could get acquired by a hospital system, or they might retire. A couple key doctors might retire, or they might bring their own PT in-house. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens out of our control. So you do have to cast a wider net, right? And you have to make sure you kind of build your network of referring doctors to you. It gives you, cushion in your systems that you're not like all your new patients aren't dependent on just a couple of key physician groups. I see too, like very successful practices that grow do have a good network of doctors, but then they also really lift from direct access, like you're seeing the change there, right? So if you can boost the number of past patients coming back in, the word of mouth referrals that are happening there, direct online referrals, and you get that up to like a 50-50, then that's really powerful for growth of the practice. So you keep doing what you're doing with obviously the physician liaisons, the physician marketing there, but elevating the marketing where you can increase even more past patient reactivations and even more direct to consumer, then like you're a real powerhouse in terms of control of the patients that are coming in. And so, Kalina, from the marketing manager side of things, how do you like to track new patients coming in, obviously trying to measure where people are coming from all these different avenues?
Yeah, definitely. And again, that statistics report that we get has that full comprehensive one. So it'll show us company-wide, so what that pie looks like for the entire company. We also get it each month too, so it's really nice to see and again, that's where I'm like starting to notice that shift where it's like, okay, we're starting to get more slices of the pie that aren't necessarily all the medical community, which is great, especially as we roll out different D2C service lines. But yeah, that's definitely the one that we're tracking. And again, that is that front office question. I have control over all the appointment requests on the website, so I can see what comes in, good information in, good information out. That's always really helpful. I always love when they put in there, like they tell you exactly how they found you. That's always really nice. But yeah, it's just ensuring that that's clear again with like the clinical teams and the front office staff. Like there's a reason why we ask this question. This is why we need it. It helps us figure out where we're going to spend most of our resources and our time. And so that's something that we're definitely continuing to try and communicate and make sure we get that across. But yeah, that's generally the main way we kind of track where everyone is coming from. And then it also helps too, especially if you're doing more stuff on social. If you're doing a campaign, you're doing a collaboration, you start seeing these trends and then you start realizing like, wait, like I can use organic and our website for our patients, but I'm noticing social media is helping us with recruiting. So like you're starting to like delegate and realize like these different avenues and how you can use them to maximize what you need. Because for us, I know right now, it's definitely like we definitely would love to have, we'd love to be fully staffed. It is a little trickier to like bring those referrals in and kind of hope that like they can see everyone in a timely manner. So once all of our clinics are fully staffed, it's like the engine, we're kind of up and running. So that's kind of what we look at, and it helps us identify like where our weaknesses and our strengths are and like how we can shift the marketing to kind of target our different audiences. And we always kind of cover them in our marketing plan. But yeah, it's kind of a very long way of describing like how we track these different metrics and like where they come from and where we pull them from.
It's so important, right? I mean, it's one thing or the other, right? You got either need more new patients or you need more staff to treat them. And so it's like yin and yang, right? You got to keep working at both.
Always, yeah.
I use that a lot. Yin and yang. Definitely.
But I think what you said there was very powerful in that you have to make data-driven decisions, and especially when it comes to operating your practice and understanding the effort and the cost that you're putting into marketing or to, physician development. You want to know what's working, right? And so
Yeah.
that, having, and especially across 27 locations, multiple states, you have to operate off of a lot more metrics, right? And understand, okay, how did this patient get to me? Was it from a Google ad? Was it from a phone call? Was it from, this particular doctor referred this over here? Was it from a patient referral? And so we want to be, of course, asking across our front desk, but like, what kind of systems can we have in place? So call tracking is very good. Obviously, website tracking through there. You've got your Salesforce. How does that pull into what the relationship was as far as that doctor referred in? So yeah, there's obviously a lot of metrics to go through, but I guess the clearer that becomes, the better your decision can be. Like, what can we strengthen?
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, there's like this really interesting pattern where someone is technically a doctor referral, but then you kind of talk to the doctor and you realize they're like, oh, this patient found you on Google, or they found you, X, Y, and Z. So it's like, how do you define that? Is that a pure doctor referral, or is that someone that found us online, found us at a community event? Like, that's like kind of digging to find that real, like the nuance of like that referral. Cause more times than most, it's rarely ever just a straight doctor referral. It's, we heard about you from a friend. So it's also identifying like where that comes from, because I think in all of these different channels, it's got different legs, right? They can poke on the website. It'll come across as an online referral. But if the doctor was the one that was like, hey, I really think you should see these guys down the street, have a great relationship with them, like, where does that differentiator happen? So that's just like really good. Again, like I had mentioned, like really good information, and we're able to make more educated decisions.
Yeah.
And like
When I was
data driven.
when I was treating back in the early 2000s, I remember, at that time we're in South Florida to get more seniors in, and it was definitely the white coat syndrome. So the doctor would say, I want you to go here, right? And so they would follow the doctor's orders. It's so different today, right? Even if the doctor says, hey, I'd really like you to go to Movement for Life, they're still going to go online and do their due diligence and look at options. And so what you see in a lot of doctors' offices too is that, hey, here's our preferred list of clinics to go see. You may be at the top, and so they start to go down and they Google them, and they maybe look on social, look at the reviews, look at your website. And so there's not one thing that completely works. It like has to work together in just the way that people go today. And so you could have that great physician relationship, and so if they've mentioned you more, there's a higher likelihood that patient is going to choose you. But then if your online profile backs it up, right? Like you have an awesome website, you have awesome Google reviews, they see you all over Google because you got Google ads running, they go check out your social media and it looks amazing, like all the way that things looking within the clinic, they're much more likely to say, yes, I'm going to go ahead and book. Is that something you guys see too?
Yes, absolutely. We've got it. Yeah, I've got it. Like, I think our online presence is so important in that sense. I do like to curate it and keep it, really, because we operate under one clinic page. So our socials are we don't divvy it up between regions. So we have that really powerful like messaging. So it's all of our clinics that are being represented. Again, and then also each clinic has their own Google page. We get a ton of Google reviews. It's always responding to them. Good hygiene. It helps you when, people are looking up certain diagnoses. I love to use that as a tool. But again, like you had mentioned, just being visible at so many different points. I think there was like, when I was studying marketing, they said someone has to hear your name like 7 times before they start realizing who you are, what you can do. I think now, because of it's like 28 times or more.
Probably.
Like I think it was 28 times maybe 2 years ago. It's probably doubled. And I think it's just keeping top of mind and like the multiple different ways you can do that. In a world that like it's cutting through the noise, because it is very loud. It's very busy. You look up PT and then you're getting ads for like multiple PT clinics all around you who you're not sure who treats what. And it's just becoming that differentiator when you do that type of marketing.
That's a great point, Kalina. And I think that's great for our audience to hear, is that it takes a lot of repetition for someone to decide to choose you. And it's not just like you against a PT clinic down the street. You're actually competing with that person deciding on whether they have to pay their $5,000 deductible and pay out of pocket, right? Versus, going for another MRI, or maybe I'm going to go for the surgery, or maybe I'll just take this medication and deal with it. Like, you're having to overcome a lot of different challenges getting someone to choose. It's not just choose you, but decide to use you in the first place, right? So like, that's the way that we're approaching our marketing in our clinics today, is how educational, informative, getting people to understand like, hey, this is the root cause of your problem. That's what we call on the websites condition-centric marketing. So you're really talking about the person's condition and helping them have an education moment in that, so that then the things that they're hearing from other places, like their doctor told them to take care of this, maybe they see something online, maybe they see a social post about, this particular problem, back pain that they keep having. They're going to come ideally through your website then and say, okay, you know what, Movement for Life is seems like they're a specialist and this can help me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
what Kalina was outlining, you just have to stay proactive and not be so reactive. We spend a lot of our waking hours reacting to things. But like, even for the physician liaison role, is like, how fast can you proactively solve this issue, this system, this process, this behavior? How fast can we get involved here? Because yeah, it's a high trust service that we're involved in. And I mean, physical therapists build one of the most, if not the most concrete relationship with a patient. They spend the most time with them. I mean, the things that we get people back to doing and avoid costlier interventions down the line, I mean, they start to speak volumes. And, try to position PT first, I think, is our next step as a marketing for a group of physical therapists. And I have the pleasure to work with tons of great physical therapists and to bounce ideas off of people. Because there is not just like one size fits all for everything. It's like, how can I become proactive on socials? How can I become proactive in recruiting? How can we look like we're fun, but we're still very intelligent and professional? Where's our line? We're not quite a gym aspect. No offense to some of the really nice gyms, and we're not quite like a dentist office. It's not like so quiet and like you can hear machines. Like, people are usually laughing and engaged in our clinics. Movement for Life lives by the 3 A's, are our brand pillars. It's ability, access, and atmosphere. And they're all equally as important. You can't replace them. We can't think of anything better to replace them with, honestly. But it really speaks to like the type of care that you're going to experience from the physician's pen, maybe, or from that interaction on a Google review, all the way through the end-to-end experience of, okay, now what, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree with that. So as we're getting close here to 2026, I'm curious from you, Kalina, from you, Ryan, what is your big goal here? What are you trying to like really accomplish for Movement for Life here as we go into the next year?
Definitely optimizing what we already had. We've had a busy few years, kind of like trying to create new systems where we're trying to go back and just like not even scale back, but just go back and focus, like refocus ourselves and build out our marketing. But for us, what's really exciting is we're rolling out a few D2C service lines in some of our regions. We're starting to offer, all of our clinics are starting to robustly push cash pay and that option for people if they want direct access, if they don't want to wait for care. We've got an ortho triage program that we're also rolling out in 2026, a little bit more robust. It's kind of like urgent care for musculoskeletal needs. So, you get a 25, it's very straightforward with pricing and with the time that you get. So we've got these really fun initiatives that we've kind of thought we're laying out the brand framework that now we get to market and run with it in our communities and do some, testing with like, okay, is this message better for doctor offices or people who don't want to wait the traditional time for PT? Or is it, something that, again, is a great Google ad, is a great, any type of social media marketing, like how is that going to work, or digital marketing, and what does that look like? But I think for us, it's also, again, last goal, I think, is just, I mentioned it earlier, but lowering barriers of entry and identifying what exactly they are and how we can overcome them as a practice to make it as easy as possible for people to get the care that they need. And just being that resource for people and referral sources. But yeah, that's kind of what we're moving into 2026 with, and what we really want to build off of, and just kind of really focus and make these, few service lines really, really strong and robust, while also kind of keeping up with our insurance-based referrals. So it's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Brian, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, piggyback that further. I mean, just to make sure that we keep listening to what the market's demands are, keep listening to what our peers, whether they're medical community, local community, your local high schools, your athletic trainers, what are they all seeing? How can we continue to proact and create things with them versus like not serving them. I think PT needs to continue to consider like we're only as good as the communities we support. So just making sure that we're actually actively paying attention to what's going on out there versus looking in the mirror all the time or being like, I want this. You're like, I don't know. You can get so far. We're a 100% employee owned company, so we talk about our ESOP a lot, and we have some funny words we say around that, like, is it a WESOP or a MESOP? Shout out Alejandro. But like some of these ideas where you're just inflecting based on something you need, it's just very MESOP. It's like, well, that's what you want to see. Well, that's great, but if you go and and poll the rest of the people out there, what are they going to tell you? How are they going to see your service, whatever you're doing there that day? How are you going to make their life better? And what are we going to do about that? And how are we going to keep doing that so that next time they think physical therapy, they don't think physical therapy, they think movement for life physical therapy, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's everyone's at all. If you guys know the answer, you know how to reach me. It's on learning and adapting. So
yeah, I love that. Both wonderful points. I mean, Kalina, you're right on the really hit the nail on the head there. I think, don't always try to do new things or unproven things. Like, what can you be working on that's working already, but best make it a lot better, right? Kind of look at a new way, right? And then Ryan, what you're saying too, like, it's not about what you think, it's about what the market thinks. So like, what do your doctors really want, right? What is your public, your community really looking for right now? And kind of just look around, right? Make some observations and see, hey, can I fill this need in this particular niche? Or can I say things in a certain way that really, resonate with that particular group or that doctor's group, right? I remember, again, back in the day, like for doctors, it's a little different, right? Like we're like, oh, we're going to get fantastic results for your patient. Well, everybody's supposed to get fantastic results for the patient, right? No, like they want convenience and make it easy. And do you take these insurances? And, are you fast with scheduling? And, do you make my life easier is basically what they're looking for, right? And then if you're developing attorney relationships, well, they want to make sure that they're getting complete documentation and that you make it easy and that you can work with them and that, you're going to build a good case for them. And so like, there's all kinds of different audiences that you want to make sure that you have this understanding of what's important to them. So then you can match, not only just from what your physician liaisons are saying or your marketing is saying, but also internally within your teams.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, sharing your insights. Congratulations on your success to grow to 27 clinics is really amazing, and building that robust physician liaison team to develop, doctor referrals to all these different locations and keeping good rate, metrics on that. That's really impressive to see what you've been able to accomplish with that. So congratulations on your success there.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not stopping anytime soon. Hopefully we can keep it going. We'd love to, keep exploring new markets, new areas, get some more people on our teams, learn from them, and just, keep elevating that, what physical therapy means to people in their headspace.
Love it. Excellent. Great. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And to our listeners out there, thank you for being on the podcast here. I hope we got a lot out of today's podcast with Kalina and Ryan. Don't forget to like and subscribe us on the Practice Marketing Podcast, as well as we have all these episodes on YouTube for you to watch and follow, as well as other trainings. So go ahead and subscribe to Practice Promotions on YouTube. And then don't forget, practicepromotions.net got tons of downloads and free marketing tips and advice for you on there. So check that out. So this is Neil Trickett from the Practice Marketing Podcast, wishing you much success in your practice.
A free way for you to support our show is by leaving a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It's a chance for you to tell us what you love about the show, and it helps others discover it as well. Just scroll down to ratings and review on your phone and click write a review. Thanks.